Hello and welcome. My name is Angel. If this is your first video with me, I grew up in a cult called Children of God. I was born and raised in it for 23 years, and I started telling stories when the coronavirus hit because it reminded me of the end of the world. And I was like, let me tell stories about my time living in the end of the world. And my hope is to normalize the human struggle that we all go to and to find some sort of connection with the rest of the world through that, and also to normalize the healing journey that has to happen at some point. I think in all of our lives, we'll go through something that sucks, and there is a way to heal from that. And that is just, I want to talk about the things that have helped me. And today I wanted to talk about the first person that I recall that was kind to me, because it was so strange. It was so weird to have someone who was just kind to me for no reason. Because I'll link the video here where I talk about like giving and receiving, and how reciprocity, which is a really normal thing for human beings, like how human beings create connection, that was so screwed up for me, and I just didn't know what giving and receiving looked like. But I remember the person who was kind to me for no reason, and his name was Gabe. He was in the cult. I was 11 years old. Oh my gosh, I have to give you the whole context because it was rough. So I was at a jet camp, and the jet camp, jet stood for junior end time teen, and it was supposed to be for kids ages 12 through 14. So kids ages 12 and 13. And I was 11, and they had held the camp at the beginning of June, and my birthday is in the middle of June. It's June 18th. And I had like written a petition of like, please let me go to this jet camp. Like, yes, I'm only 11, but I'm about to be 12. And I think that I'm mature enough to be a jet and to attend. So they had let me attend. So I'm already intimidated because everyone else is cool and I am not. And I destroyed the pictures from this time of my life because I was really ashamed of how I looked. But we grew up in poverty, and I was in a cult, and I had glasses. Like, I wear contacts now, but I wore glasses back then. And we always had to go for the cheapest frames, but I have a really strong prescription. I have a -5 and a -4. So my eyes are like fairly bad. So my glasses were thick. And so I had these like Coke frame, like Coke bottle glasses with these massive red frames. And right before I went to this jet camp, one of the, like the size of the glasses broke off. So then I went to this jet camp with glasses, like these massive glasses with one hook over one ear, and then one side was just open. So I would do this. I would try and just make it look like my glasses were normal, and I spent a lot of time just like doing this. It was crazy. So I felt super ugly and super out of place the whole time. And of course, like everyone was like mean to me. I don't know why people were mean to me. I think I'm pretty great. No one else thought that. And then towards the end, it was the very last day, and one of the adults there, his name was Gabe, and I still think of him as such a nice man. I don't know if he was, but he was to me. He came up to me and he was like, hey, I've been seeing you, and the way that you play with the other kids, and the way that you're like really inclusive, and you reach out, and you like, are with people who are a little bit shy. And he was like, I just think that's a really good thing about you. And he was like, and if you ever want to come visit the HCS, tell them that I said you could, and tell them I invited you if you ever want to visit, and like you'd be a really good person to have there in the home. And the HCS was like the combo to be in. It was the commune that you wanted to go to. It was the biggest one. It produced a lot of like the music videos, and so if you went there, you were usually famous, and there were of course cult celebrities. So I knew that if I went to that home, I would meet all the cult celebrities. It was really exciting, and like that home was super popular. It was probably the most well-known commune in the cult, like globally. So I was like blown away, and I remember it stuck with me because I was like, why? And he was like, you just seem like you're good. He was like, I've seen you. You're always smiling. You're always like really kind to other people, and I just think that you deserve an invitation. So if you ever want to come, just let them know. And I remember I got so excited. I immediately went to a friend of mine, and I told her, I was like, oh my God, Gabe, like Uncle Gabe just invited me to the HCS. And she was like, no, he didn't. You're not cool enough to go to the HCS. And I was like, no, it's true. And so I dragged her over to be like, Gabe, did you not? Like, did you invite me to the HCS? And he was like, yeah, no, she would be great. And my friend was like, oh, whatever. He probably just said that because blah, blah, blah. And that is what I was used to. I was used to that person being like, oh, you're actually the trash. People are nice to you, like to your face, but people actually dislike you and they actually think you're the trash. And so having somebody just come up to me, and I hadn't seen this person. I hadn't seen this guy at all. Like I knew that he was there in the periphery, but like I'd seen him standing around at like soccer games, but I had no idea who he was. And so for him to come out of the blue and just like pay me a compliment and then leave, stands out like to this day. And like I was 11. So this is like over 20 years later, but it was the first time that I received a sincere compliment. It was the first time somebody was like genuinely kind to me. And I mean, 20 years later, I remember it. But I think the most useful people like in the entire world are people who are kind. And so that's what I want to cultivate in myself, because I would rather be the person who like stands back and is kind and extends like something valuable rather than the person who's like, oh my God, they don't even like you. Like rather than being one of the cool kids. Because I think that kindness is everything. And I know for me, the most useful and like wonderful people who have contributed most to my healing have been genuinely kind with like no expectation in return. There's just like love and kindness. And when you haven't felt that ever, and then you feel it, you remember it. If this reminds you of anyone, reach out to them and remind them that you remember that they were kind to you. For me, I have no way of finding this person because Gabe was not his real name. I don't know what his name was. If I ever find him, I'll be sure to say thank you. And I'm sure that he will not remember the 11-year-old with like weird glasses. Or maybe it was odd enough to stand out. But I just think it's always worth it to be kind. So if you have an opportunity today to pay somebody just a genuine compliment or just to do something from the kindness of your heart for no other reason except that you have love and kindness inside of you to extend, then I encourage you to do it because it is something that is so healing and something that people will remember decades later. So that is my story today.